that when I got in there and I started going through stuff, I would become so disgusted at the amount of money that I spent storing things that I knew that I would never need or want or use again. I didn't want to face that directly. So that
Hmm.
was that one there wasn't it kind of wasn't so much a fear of failure, it was a fear of I guess it was a failure, but it was a fear of actually staring it straight in the face and being honest with myself to say, yeah, I did fail. So
Listen, I mean,
Oh, I don't think
the
you
fear of
failed.
failure
That's
thing,
not
like I
failure.
think more about like big stuff, as it relates to relationships, as it relates to new jobs or whatever have you. But the other stuff, I think I mean, listen, I know people, I can think of two people as we speak who have paid monthly storage fees to store crap that is not worth the cumulative storage fees that they've paid. And they have no intention of stopping doing it.
Well, that's ridiculous. In fact, that makes me think of in my storage unit. I don't know if I ever discussed this with you gentlemen before, but in my past, uh, people used to think, give me Snow White. And did I to mention the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs thing? Anyway, it's called
no.
dark hair, light skin. Yeah, yeah. So dark hair, light skin. I was always given all the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs stuff. So I have a storage unit, and most of it is filled with some old paperwork, but all sorts of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs collectibles because I just don't want it. I mean, I have teapots, I have furniture, I have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs out. Now, what am I going to do with that? I could put it on eBay, or I could go on Antiques Roadshow with it. But and it's all sentimental. Oh, so and so gave me this, so and so gave me that. What am I going to do with that? I mean, I love it, but you outgrow things. So part of it is you change.
Right, and there's an acknowledgement, there's a difficult acknowledgement of the change. Another procrastination thing that I stuck a knife in last night. Um, Last February, a buddy of mine and I put together an idea for a book, and it's somebody that you and I both know in real life, Jody. That so he and I put together this idea for a book, and whether or not we would turn it into a screenplay or try to pitch it somewhere in Hollywood or just publish it as a book, we put this outline together and we got super duper excited about it. So I've had this outline sitting literally on the top of my little inbox on my desk here since February. And Mike's comment about fear of failure is right on point. I've never written anything like that before. I've never been confronted with the idea of trying to put together something more creative and see if I could sell it or get somebody else's opinion on it. So I've had it sitting there to remind me to get working on it. But I've
Oh,
been
you got
like,
to get
well,
moving
what
on
if
that
I
right away. No, you have to move. No, you can't let that sit anymore. At least send it to me so I can read it.
Well, what I did is last night, my one quote resolution for the year is that I'm going to spend time every single day writing notes, outlining chapters, moving this thing forward, and I did it last night. And so for 10 months,
Congratulations.
it's been sitting there,
Dude, good
and
for you. And yeah,
yeah, and I realized, you know what, I might fail, but I won't. That actually will be better for me than to sit there looking at it, going, "Yeah, this is something that I'm gonna do," tomorrow.
Wonderful. I have a hint. One of the hints that I've written about New Year's is that you need to make New Year's resolutions all year long, and just waiting for January 1st to come along is ridiculous. But what you need to do is you need to make two lists: one of realistic goals, like you going through your script or book or whatever it is and editing it, and the other of fantasy wish goals. But the realistic goal list has to be short, like three things, so you can get through it. And then the fantasy goals can be forever long. And I really believe that once you take action with the realistic goals, some of these wish fantasy goals start coming to pass.
Okay,
I
that right
believe that.
there, I'm writing this down, Jody, and I just want to feed it back to you to make sure I say it correctly because that was genius. Make New Year's resolutions all year long. Number one.
Right.
Number two, you should have two goal list. One is a realistic goal list, and number two is kind of a fantasy list. And
Right.
as you move along accomplishing those things on your realistic goal lists, you'll
Uh-huh.
find out that the things on your fantasy list may indeed come to pass.
Right. In fact, I'm going to post that right now on my Facebook page, that particular hint, okay? So you'll have it there to read. But that, I really believe that's true. Make your realistic list short. But on the other list, do all sorts of things that you want to happen. And I really think that when you start taking action, things happen.
Okay, hard for me to not bust in. No, but you guys are both right. As when I was in the financial services business, I had my own financial planning firm that hired people. They worked for me, and you know what have you. What you're talking about is goals versus fantasy goals. I define to my people, and I believe it for myself, as goals versus dreams. And, I would define a dream as, if you stopped, 121-year-olds in the mall and you said, would you like to be independently wealthy at the age of 40? And I'm guessing 100 of them would agree with you, unless some of them said no, 30. Uh, Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody dreams about, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I defined a goal to people, and I still do, is a goal is something that you will do what you must do in order to achieve it. And I think that's the difference that we're talking about here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think that's completely right. And people set up on their goal list things that are totally ridiculous. I mean, if you're realistic on some things, and then if you do things and you cross it off and you get it done, then you move other things in from fantasy to reality, and it happens.
Could not agree more. I mean, could not agree more. Okay, so let's talk about your book kind of generally. And we haven't pimped that yet, but again, Auntie Jody's helpful hints. Tell us, because we run our mouths quite a bit. Where is the best place for folks to go review the book and hopefully buy it?
Amazon. Amazon's the best place right now. You go to
Okay.
Amazon and you just put in Auntie Jody, or you could go to my website and there's a link to Amazon there, and it's auntiejody.com. And thank you, gentlemen, both very much. But yeah,
Well,
no,
thank.
Auntie,
Go ahead.
I'm listening.
Go ahead. Well,
Oh
just
no, I was saying you
first of
asked
all,
me to go
just
to my
kind of an
website.
overview. Like, do we have various topics? Is it subject oriented? But I want folks to have an understanding of what the book is about, and go buy the damn thing.
Well, it's all about doing what you want to do, but doing it politely. She's sort of a comedic, sassy self-help guru, and or I am, but everything that we do in this, the bottom line is that people are so, the world revolves around me type these days, or they're totally clueless about what's going on. Is that somebody has to wake up and say, no, this is the way of the world. And I think of in olden times, there were, like there are rules of the roads right now, there were rules of interacting with people. And nowadays, it seems that anything goes, and people don't, and there's so much fighting, and people are angry, and so anyway, you can't, for instance, you can't talk it out with crazy people. All right, everybody says, "Oh, let's talk it out." Well, you can't talk it out. You have to. Some people, you just have to put up a wall and say, "Go away behind my door. I have a gun, and if you don't leave my space, that's it." Because you can't talk sane with the insane.
So how do you do that? Let me ask you this, Jody, because when you talk about that, there's somebody that immediately comes to mind. How do you do that in such a way without looking like an awful, terrible, angry, jerky person?
Me? How does Auntie talk? Well, first of all, you and this is something that first of all, one of my resolutions, just as an aside here, is I'm going to start reading my hints and taking them and using them. In Jody Adler's life, Auntie Jody's going to have to take some of the hints. I mean, you can't ever let anybody who's sort of angry and nasty get the better of you, right? And it's hard to do. But once you sink down to their level, as our mothers always told us, they're going to get you. So I think humor and brains always wins out over stupidity, and brains number one.
And humor is way important, isn't it?
Say what? Huh?
I said, and humor can never be underestimated. It's way important.
No. And people who don't understand your humor, please leave. Go away. If you ever have to explain anything and you're telling someone something funny and they take you seriously, or they say, for instance, you're mean when you're being nice, and they're just stupid. You just have to. It's like someone who cuts you off right before you get to the punchline of a joke. If you tell jokes, common sense is lacking in all things. It's common sense and wink and all that other stuff. So whatever. And
what else I hate? I hate people. I don't hate the people. It's ingratiating to me. To me, people who tell a joke and then they laugh at it as loud as they can, irrespective if anybody else laughs at it as well. Have you ever seen that happen?
Well, that's probably nervous laughter, number one. And if you don't think your joke is funny, then why tell it? But yeah, that is if it's not funny enough to make the crowd laugh. Most comedians aren't standing up on stage laughing at their own jokes. But I have to say that sometimes if I know something's funny, then I'm going to start laughing before I'm done telling the story. I'm sure you've done that too. Haven't you ever been in a conversation with someone and they're telling a story, and then in the middle of the story they start laughing so hard that you start laughing with them, and nobody knows why anybody's laughing? I mean, that's the best. So
that is totally the best. All right, Jody, you know what? Unfortunately, we are coming to the end of the half hour. Thank you so much for being on. It is such a privilege to have you on and to talk through some stuff with you. And I actually have 3 different things that I've written down sparked by what you had to say. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. You have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful 2015.
Thank you, Andy.
You too,
Bye.
Jody. Bye. So while we were talking about that, Watson asked me what the topic of my book, and I guess I could call it a book. He's asking, does it have to do with Jimmy Hoffa and his storage unit? And damn it, that's exactly what it is.
Damn it, dude.
I know. I'm like, and this is, last February, I didn't know who Watson was, but I actually penned I didn't use his name particularly, but it was a self-loathing, African-American, cultured black, who had actually been involved in the Jimmy Hoffa disappearance, and the guy has been in an icebox, chopped up into 3 equal sections ever since.
I tell you what, just to demonstrate my vast field of knowledge, I do believe that the Hoffa thing was solved a long time ago. We don't have time to go into the details here, but it happened in a house in Detroit, and it's pretty damn well figured out. But I don't think anybody believes it.
Wait a second. What?
I'm telling you, there's I don't know where I saw it. I've seen it twice. But a dude that was there, he took reporters to the house. They pulled up the carpeting. They found bloodstains that no DNA or whatever. It's been figured out a long time ago.
Okay, you know what? That just sounds conspiracy theorist to me, man. This has been...
No, dude, no, I'm not. You know me. I'm not a conspiracist. Hey, listen, take us out of here.
All right, thank you so much for listening. This has been The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. We have got another half hour on board right after the news. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you in just 1 second.
Hi, this is Matt Lewis from the Daily Caller, and you are listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
At Independent Journal Review, we publish news that is objective, fair, and entertaining. As one of the top websites in the United States, it's our duty to bring the absolute